So I've got a new project which is to fit HIDs to the bike. Now this kit has come from headlight.com. Les is a really helpful guy who's got us all sorted out. So this is the bracket and ballast for the 1200 GS, along with the appropriate burners, which are all in carefully boxed. I've also got the stuff to do Jenny's F650 GS, which we'll do next. Depending on your variant of the GS, you may not have to take the screen off to do this, but to remove the lights you just have to undo this bolt here and this bolt here, but because I've got a surround around behind the dash, I need to take the dash off the headlight unit before I pull it out, which isn't too difficult. So there's a clip-in plug, you just pull that back. Dash is held on with 3 little circlips, I'm not sure if you can see that, my hand's in the way, and these are fairly easy to remove. A pair of pliers, just make sure you don't lose them. I think the easiest way for me to get at this one here is to just loosen off the headlight unit. Allow me a bit more movement. I'm going to say this is only really a challenge because of the black surround behind the dashboard. Without that, you can normally feed the headlight unit out with the dash attached, as long as you've taken all the wires out. With the 2 bolts removed, you just have to lift the headlight unit. It's just sat on a little lug there, and then it's free to move. Don't forget though, you've now got 2 cables attached, which I'll get at in a second. Okay, so this cable is the one on the back of the dashboard, and then I can show you here the headlight and main beam and dip beam is this one here. To release this, you just push that clip, slide it that way. That one's nice and easy. The clip lined up, you can get your finger behind it and just pull it straight off. So they're not particularly tight, but they can be a bit fiddly, and then the dashboard comes off. And just it's difficult to show you while I'm wearing this. You can just see on the back of the headlight unit, the side light is on a separate thing. And now, the first time I took this off, I was a bit nervous about what I was doing. The bulb is still attached, and it just pulls straight back. So you just got to try and make sure you pull straight backwards, giving it a little wiggle. Don't pull up or down because you might damage the cables. And then that hangs freely. The headlight unit is loose and free. Depending on your setup, you may have to take your engine bars off. My engine bars, which fit just here and just under here, oops, maybe that's better, the bracket was in the way. I couldn't actually get the bracket in behind it. It shouldn't be a problem with it fitting once it's in, but just need to pop that off to get it all together. So the bracket that holds the ballast just goes in behind the oil cooler. You just have to go in one way then the other to get around the. Right, I need to just I need to have a little play here. I've got a guard over my oil cooler and it looks like it's getting in the way of this bracket, so I'm going to pop this guard off and then put the bracket in and then refit the guards somewhere. So for this oil cooler to fit properly, for the bracket to fit properly, you have to feed it up behind it, push it all the way one way, and then slide it back across to avoid the oil pipes. Right, it looks like I'm going to have to cut the bottom of this guard off, and then I can, or even I'll probably cut it off here, and then I can mount it to these holes here or something like that. I'll come back when that's done because you don't need to see that. So I've just clipped off the bottom of this, and that'll fit nicely now and snaps in place, and I can just put some zip ties just on there and there to stop it going anywhere. With the bracket mounted, then it's just a case of doing up the oil cooler mounting bolts. And as the instructions point out, you must undo these bolts from the back. Don't try and undo these nuts. These nuts are spot welded to the oil cooler. You don't want to snap them off because it'll make your life a lot harder putting everything back together again. Bars and everything are now back in place, and that's all gone together well. Everything fits. One thing to be really careful about is I happen to have used very similar, if not the same connector. Oh no, that's okay. Right, okay, I thought I'd used the same connectors as I used. So I use these Super Seal connectors for my spots, and they're very similar connectors to the ones that come on the ballasts. Here, here and here. But thankfully they're different, so I can't put the wrong ones on, because you definitely don't want to plug in your LED spotlights to your ballasts, because that makes something go pop. The other thing to think about when zip tying everything in place is, I know I need to take my engine bars off to get the fairings off, so I need to make sure anything that's clipped to the engine bars, like these lights, can be removed at the same time. So I need to organise these cables and zip tie them and tidy them up. I don't want to zip tie the cables for the ballasts to the engine bars, which includes these bits here, because then I'll have to cut the zip ties off every time I need to take the fairings off. So then we feed the rubber grommet onto the hole, and seal that up nicely. Make sure it's seated on the inside and the outside so it makes a proper seal. The dipped beam, and you'll see that you've got to line up. There's two lugs here, line up with that there, and then the clip just works opposite of before, so it went from the inside out. Right, that bit's nice and easy. Now then, got to follow the instructions and make sure we connect the ball up to the right bit. So we've got, on BMWs, the brown wire is the negative, which goes to the black, so you just feed that in there. Like a bit of plastic crack there, so okay. Now we need to push that connector out of the way, so we'll hide that up there. Now, as I go to put the lid on, I'm going to draw the wires through, because we want to remove the slack from inside. quarter turn to close with the top at the top. Okay, and then we do exactly the same thing for the main light, so I'll come back to that when it's all done. Okay, these clips can be a bit fiddly, but they're not. It's not a particularly difficult job, it's just a bit fiddly. There we go. Yep, that's seated properly in here. And then the two sides are roughly lined up here, and then we'll put in the bolt and do it up with the, I think it's a T30. Yeah, T30 to do these up. I'm just going to tighten everything up, connect up the lights. Okay, so at this point you should have wires coming from the back of the lights and wires coming up from the ballasts. And these kits are very handy. The three plugs are all totally different, so you can't put the wrong one in the wrong one, but you do have to make sure that you get the dipped beam and the high beam or main beam connected up the right way around. So, and they just push down until the collect engages. You mustn't forget that once we're all done, I'm going to go round and cable tie all of these loose wires so they're nice and tidy and not flopping around. Through then, we're going to turn the ignition on and let's see if they work. Okay, side lights on, that's good. And there we go. As you can see, that's the dip beam, and it comes up to brightness gradually, as you'd expect, and then the fast beam should actually be a bit faster. Yeah, so it's a fast start bulb that is purposely different. Brilliant, so all three lights are working. Wow, that's bright. Ow, my eyes. And as hopefully you can see, there's no lamp warnings because these are specifically designed canvas kits.